Let me remind all of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the bodhicitta motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of altruistic motivation, we should all engage in this teaching. I'm going to read about a page from the Lam-rim text. This is volume number 1 in English translation to give you the blessing of oral transmission.
Kuji Puni dealing each and Lignin Romba Gargabi, Chimbi Sergio Shishini, Lama in Zombi, Shuhini, Jizun, Jambe, Yang Jukola. Miliba me, Lazan in Dings on those Sony Joshua, Swasimba, Gula, Yang Tether and Ziggy. Chu Sigi, Shibasi, Shigila, Yang Magu, Rapanji, Libum, Tana Marjuba, the Song Shibat. Joro, Saran Jova, the Hamdan, Dani Koda. Gumu, so Maguba, Japan, Gunjo, Taraguba, Shiba, Geshe, Chengawe, Sura, Dentangwa, Tuana. Temojan and Dang, Chi and Dangma, Nupano, Temojarge, Shu, Gariso, Shomana, Napashi. Kula, Sheminabala, Yinge, Sotiki, Shela, no Kuba, Signi. Chuma Sene, Azama Murumuro, so be Nabati, Shunning, Shara, Shenijan. Rosa Shula, Temojan, Shevarando, the Shudan, Shumala, Maguba, Sheravashi, Yuni. Mumbata den dige shoge ge mombe je maso delmono che do son gindu no mara de shon ge shon ta zo zebata tada ta zo la yang ta zo na mi shi xing mi ye ba dang che dang ye je che ge che xie ri su je ne Rizjeni Drata wa Nambawata Jedu Mijawa, Gindu Gunjo, Tarakuba Shevate, Lazumukoa, Yonden Deva, Nana Neva Yi, Parutagi, Jungla Tameza, Dani, Chebra Papa, Dani, Chebra Pajing. Da George, the Tibetan, 7 James, Jadi, Pamikin, Zawadi, Gilum, member Melang, never young Mesha, Gava Jeggy, Tarbatomi, during dinner, Temper, de Locomi, She Song So, Tomba, Rebushed, Nanjaba Shambu, Lembasabu, Gombe Sarayu, Bang, Mingompara, Dune, Satsang Saraki, Shanita, she loved it. Rayi Gunjola, just go at them to do them young. Run like she did a cover, Juvia, charity, thing the Jebole, generation that they debated top of Jewish, song so. Tumugala Jala Trule, Gunjo, some Chavarada, Yon Tenjes, or Tembe, Young Down, Young to each other road. Not Sheva, Sheva, the Nampi Sheva down there, some Nampi to Jibisheva, the dog, young Simba. Yang Sebo Gadi Shenbu Jesuot, but 2 到 Cheval Zong Sa Jiayu Pu Jang Uani Ding the Jebole Sanje Son Jeni Seter Jang Tela, she tell Shiba Shiba, so mean Jurishe Song Batar Kase no Kase Nibe. So the Rana daily Kongshuma, Tajiva Gujo, Shebara, Shela Shiba, Samba, Sambi Shover Shaw. That is a Shunzum the Dere one, so Jamdu Labja the Dua Shibata, Menga Shoni, that Dua Shibat Sar, because that Labja Mazuna, any Yemik to Zotanda Karsa, Kibu Sajada, any Yemba Sang de Logit, any Djibouti Yungo race. What is that? That did Mengal Shia, what Mengal Shia, social love Jada, and Tumu Lavagin, that the social love Juxation.
No. Gisela read from the middle of page 195 to the middle of page 197. We are dealing with what we call precepts concerning refuge practice. And remember that we said we would talk about those things following the Vinaya or the ethics text, and then we are going to talk about this following what we call Menga, quintessential instruction or pith instruction. And so following this second way, there are 2 ways in which we deal with this. One is what are the specific precepts or advices concerning refuge practice, and what are the general precepts or the common advices, if you will. So we're still dealing with the specific precepts here.
So simple gun la yang te da zegi shu da tim da karsa sangji tumo ma labja de ganje ene ne jo gomba se ate ke ene jaya ku ji ya sho je le ni ji bi ke ni lingye khare de sho res ene sho je jabe ya ko ene milik ba tan yo ma de sabso di ding ding res ene oli sha ji ene de ji ta ba de ene ku da do khare de de ya
So in the middle of page 195, where the paragraph begins with, "It is said that the great yogi once gave a statue of Manju Ghosha to the elder for him to, for his comments." So, so basically what we're talking about here is another great yogi or master called Khompa Rinchen or Changchup Rinchen. Once he brought a statue of Manjushri, Manju Ghosha's name is Manjushri, to Dikin Choj Banda Atisha again. Jimby should say the Choj Banda Atisha.
Oh, Choj Banda Atisha. That Leon should have there.
No.
But the Yawad Leon should be in
So he brought a statue of Manjushri to the elder, meaning great Atisha here in this case, Dipamkar Shrijan Atisha. And so he wanted to find about what the great Atisha thinks about this statue. How do you see this statue? And if you think it's good, then I'm going to buy it. If not, probably I'll leave it. And then the great Atisha, said, and he commented. He said, we can really talk about defects with Manjushri's, enlightened body. But if you're asking me about the artistic representation of this is a so-so sculptural. He did a kind of so-so job, but then the Choja put the Manjushri statue on his place on his head, and he made his paid his respect. And so what this really teaches us is, having gone for refuge in the jewel of Buddha as our guru or a teacher, we should learn to respect any representation of a Buddha, regardless of its what we call the material value, and regardless of its, the artistic representations. Maybe some of the representations are kind of a so-so or not so-so, right? But if because these represent Buddha, so we should learn to respect them as if, they were a real Buddha. So that's part of the advices or the precepts.
And song the Shiva Tam Dio what is a job at them ham the god coata go you so Maguba Tam Jipang days and the Chogujo Kuba Shiva was that the Choguja left the red one. That church in Jela and the you get 6 years said what that was the the police is in the you get Nazi in the Sigora. That you get Nazi said that pitch shirt on today. That sure near go don't get that shirt 6 years in Jeremy. She don't you can actually the Sabas and go to Sunko to Wales Mero. That I guess in the young Puyik the Tasha and she young you get that Tasha sure. Take care of Mara, can you show they got on the Chivara? Because is that you got the pitch that Langata, the country shirt don't ship that, sure never don't your country. You get 6 years to get it, sure, good decision, and Zangza Shani. She ended up so pass the kid, Hango, Jam to Diana, Magusha sat, Jamba Shara, and what did she go, go move to that.
The last paragraph on page 193 begins with the second prescriptive precept is never to show disrespect for writings on the teachings, even those composed of as little as 4 words. Actually, the 60 Shi in Tibetan, it means like about a stanza, So this is really a precept or advice concerning our, practice of cultivating Dharma. Having gone for refuge in Dharma or the teaching, we should learn to respect any symbolic representation of a dharma. So in terms of writing, although here it says like one stanza, okay, sometimes in the Tibetan the lamas say, even if it's a one syllable na, if it really reveals dharma is so precious that we should learn as if this represents the entire dharma, and we should respect due respect to the words. And so Geshe is commenting on this. That what it means, like in any language, sometimes people think like, oh, if something's written in Tibetan, it must be very holy and precious, but if it's written in some other language, then maybe not, but that's really biased attitude. So what I mean is, in any language, if it represents holy dharma, then even if it's a one word or one syllable, we should learn to respect it as if it represents the entire dharma. Okay, and otherwise, like, say, not everything written in Tibetan or any language, right? Geshe said, then we can't really cope with this advice at all, right? Because everything is, newspaper, how can we protect newspaper, everything in the media? We just can't. But something to do with the Dharma, then we need to learn to respect it. And so as a part of that practice, it says, we should not just leave Dharma text or even a piece of Dharma paper, whatever, just bare on the ground. That's considered disrespectful. Or carry the Dharma book with our shoes, or walk over the Dharma books, or, although it doesn't say, probably. That's my first footnote, right? That's why some of you miss my footnote. Don't use the Dharma book as your seat or a cushion and sit on it, right? But that's again, very disrespectful here. No.
Chen-mo janin dang, chi dang mo ni pa na Chen-mo jorgi chuo dang ngari su pek chomba na ngakba hi kong la chuo me nye pa la yingin shi ki soti ki chuo la gui pa sek ni chuo ma su ni atsama mirung song pi ngakba ti te ni chuo nyingis. Ti kaji te kaji da tiki langlen ta goya gize te ni that the Jingao soon after the Dindishu done any yarn down a perky, Buenashi, today at the Kubashi waters. To the good Javashan, any yard Norman in Shakjashan, any Nanguyares. So that the Lantargo didn't there. In the church, Yama, third Sudis, and any Nagashi that you surely Tebasi Mingus or Chairman, that shows Shu in the Konomashi Diavres. You must have you get to get any. Shugunel da sodik pa jarad de shevado show enti asam mirum se en show te ya sung shorne in ngakpati in show te ni tine sung de show nyambre so da ganji ta ganji khase show gunjo ta sa she bu shi gu se jizero.
So how should we regard Dharma representations? And here are some good examples, like just the way if you could great Geshe Tsongkapa did. Whenever Geshe Tsongkapa saw anybody kind of transporting, Dharma texts or scriptures, he would stand up and he would bow down, pay his respect, or sometimes he would even burn some incense, and do that. But later when he became very old, he couldn't get up, that was not easy for him. But still he would fold his hands together and bow down to Dharma scriptures. So that's, a good example for us, the way to respect Dharma. Another time it is said that when Atisha was visiting western part of Tibet, he saw a Tibetan kind of what we call mantra practitioner, somebody who is not a monk but dressed as tantric practitioner. And so Atisha saw him kind of use his kind of a plaque from the teeth sort of to glue some pieces of text or something. So then Atisha was kind of like, oh, no, you can't do that. I'm sorry, you just don't do that, And we would say, yak, That's not cool, man. That's our today's expression, right? And then somehow that invoked a faith in the man, in Atisha. He thought, oh my God, and then he must be a great master. And then he asked him for some instruction or teaching.
Should the Shumal Mogu Herachi Yu Mombata de D. Shogis Momba Yumaso del Monichito Jito Songosa, Shara any Takaji Shu Sungola Maguna any so ya Sherab Chair Jushin any should rabdi namji herba nyamrugo yosarwa shete nyamrugo resi nganzo tanda ini pe chö rabdi namji herba tanda mindugo jobo redo gasita 내가 당초 단도 데레바 쪄시네 간데 셔거서 가지.
And then at the end of page 195 over 96, the great Geshe Sharava once commented that we really need to learn to respect Dharma, because what Dharma represents is light of wisdom. Okay? And so we cultivate Dharma in order to dispel the darkness of ignorance from within our mind. And he said, we really don't take Dharma seriously, And so we shouldn't do that, because that is a great cause of losing our intelligence and becoming more stupid. He said, we are already ignorant. So don't do that and become more ignorant. So learn to respect the Dharma, which represents wisdom.
Gindu namrad show gezong ge ta zembata teda ge ta zamla yang mishi chi menye bada ana che da nge ge che choru su che ne se data number tam ju du mejawa gindu kunjo tabu ko ba she bates tadi tum gindu kunjo tum labja de dero karsa gindu kunjo 가지 코라 가리 내면 간지 gindu 피게 딱 러중게 사실 좀 집에 이제 될 세고로 그 gindu kunjo 뭐게 뒤에 샤고 그랬어 근데 간주 대 콘주 대사도 피게 대사도 고바스 소그리들의 시조 말이스 대 잡아 연대도 좋아서 니주시야 좀 되게 시조 말이스 근데 gindu kunjo랑 뒤에 샤고 그랬어 또 gindu kunjo 이미 다 그런 거지 진짜 랍자 코라리아 다 고빈이 될 가가요 와
So down on page 196, we have an advice, a precept concerning, our practice of going for refuge in Sangha or spiritual community. When we see any person who is in robes or Sangha clothing, regardless of who that person is, because we really don't know the person, right? Maybe that person is a real Sangha or Arya. Maybe that person is nobody, but that's none of our business, Because that person is wearing the monastic robes, so we respect him or her as if he or she is a real Sangha member. Okay, and so as we said, here we're really talking about how to be very careful with our practice. We're really not necessarily checking with reality, right? We don't are you really Sangha or not, or are you just kind of pretending to be one? But that's none of our business. We are not here to check out, who is or who is not, But from our perspective, we learn to respect anybody who wears a monastic robes as if he or she is a real Sangha member. And by the extension of that thought, regardless of their educational background, maybe some of them are very learned, right? And some of them are really not so learned. But don't look, if you find a monk or a nun who is less educated, like, what kind of Sangha are you really? Don't, because that is being disrespectful to the spiritual community. We just learn to respect everybody. And also, another very important part of this precept is don't create a division or Sikhism among the Sangha. Not like, this is our kind of a Sangha and that's kind of yours, This is like our monastery monks and that's kind of somebody's monastery monk. Do I know? Kind of thing. Or this is like, I don't know, this monks from whatever tradition, but this is our tradition. No, don't create that kind of divisions and Sikhism and, make a mess,
어디 공부도 사슴과 연대 내가 나는 내가 이 하루다 좀 라다메샤 난 체벌 파신 나 저지 대념되는 심기 메샤오 야니 네 방미 그 싸와때 예로면은 예바 용메샤 깨바 제게 타바터 민주스 된 때바들 거리니 해송소스 다들 거기들이 다 구십시하다 두서 마시나 이 종원들이 열세 학생고야들와 연된도와 나네와세 답에 에베닐링게 바로 종원도 딱지시오 말이스. 그래가 소소조 딱지시 바로 연대야 딱지시 바로 종 딱지시오 말이스 그러와. 나 샤와 봐봐 나 쇼세 나베 시부인스니 다 디셰는 헬 계속이야도 소소 가제시는 헬 계속 연구하러와. 어디 시죠 말이스. 스기메샤스. 야 방매국이 싸워서 약바다 킹바트서 방매용아 싸워지리스 방매사 다 예바국이 싸워를 샤워로 와 어디지 yellow member, never you may say, social big charge will go in the daily education today, your modest. Give a jig, Tava Tom, you today, the watcher was give a jig about it, Kotava said the Tomina, and the gave a jig about John Douglas, then the Temple called me, she is song so sad. Said the wake up in any lava game, did a queer chat, the two song or this
on page 196, we have two stanzas quoted from a text called Exhortation to Wholehearted Resolve. In other words, to cultivate what we call this special determination, in Tibetan called laksam, willpower. Okay? So the first stanza basically tells us that, say, even if we ourselves are dedicated to practice, we are in a solitude, right? We don't associate much with people. Even in that kind of a solitude place, our real job is to look within ourselves and find out what are our limitations and faults and correct them. Yeah? Our job is not sit in a solitude and think about what other people are doing and what is wrong with them and, what are their limitations, poke our nose into their business. That is wrong. Yes, you can't do that. So our job is to look at our own limitations, faults, and improve ourselves, but at the same time look at others from a very positive angle. What great qualities they have. So you appreciate and rejoice in them, but don't look at others' dark side. That's none of practitioners' business. Okay? Otherwise, we could be in a solitude and we look at our own all the good things and then look at everybody else, faults and limitations. Then we started to feel like, I'm really somebody superior. All these dodos, where are they, kind of thing, So that attitude pops up, which becomes very ethnocentric and egomaniac and, just this, completely repulsive person, I would say. Okay. But the word repulsive is not here. That's just my addition. And then the second stanza tells us that if we are not careful with our attitude, we could become very arrogant, And the Tibetan word is called gyakpa. Okay, that's not an unusual Tibetan term called gyakpa. So it means very arrogant. So if we are arrogant, then we can also become, in a sense, very careless about our actions. Then so we could lack what we call conscientiousness, pagyue. Okay, we can become careless in what we do. And then when we encounter some monks, in this particular case, who are seemingly look like not that educated, kind of below my average kind of intelligence, then we might look down upon them. Okay? And that is a problem, creating negative karma. Okay? So if you do that, even if, let's say, we are going to be liberated or find nirvana in this lifetime, because of that arrogant attitude and this kind of a disgusting, attitude, it will take another eon for us to become enlightened or become liberated. Okay? So that means it's a great obstacle, to be disrespectful to others. So we should understand such is the way of this teaching. Okay. So the last thing Geshe said is that's why in the monastic traditions, when we follow the monastic rules called Vinaya, they put so much emphasis on respecting the elders, seniority. Who has received seniority, not necessarily in terms of my second footnote, in terms of age, seniority in terms of who has received the ordination before who, right? That seniority. Yeah, and so it's considered a very important part of practice in monastery.
Tomba Rinpoche, Nenjoba Chen-mo, Chen-mo master Kombe Sar Yueva Yang, Mungung Paras, Drone, Sangsar Kiwi, Changling the Labdis. That takes a pool that one Lembo Yomara Puella, that sugar let their town with the Shamdo, the Saints, the Lembo Chick Silver, Kaji Lembo been drumming Mambo Yori. Set out to the side of the, in the daily by Gindu Namsen, the Shen, and the Sat Sosa, doing Satsanga Shan, in John Romda, Nenjo, Gombani, Changling Nango, yes. Said the Otin, he loved with his own.
So in the middle of page 196, we have some examples of how the great Dom Themba, we call the precious teacher, and Nenjoba Chen-mo is the great Gompa Rinchen, the great master. What they would do is, in order to respect the Sangha or spiritual community, even if they a way to find a piece of monastic robe clothes, like a patches or something, they would pick them up, dust them, and put it in some clean place, because that's the way they respected the Sangha. And Geshe recalls that, in good old Tibet, that seems very relevant, because many monks are very poor, and their robes have hundreds of patches on, and sometimes the patches fall off, probably, right? So you can find a lot of, piece of clothing, some monastery lying around, so you can pick them up and dust them. But here, he said, probably we don't have to worry. Where do we find those, piece of clothes? Anyway, so.
Last day, Rani Kunjola, Chetam Kuba Tetam Dusi, Dua Namja, Rangla, a Cheju Kuba give shed this thing in Jiwajenda, Lesha, Jibutin the top of Geshe Phuntsok, but that other Tanda, this is what Wakarsa. Take my Chen-mo singing again, she was so much Shendong singing. Said the Shendong Shivala, said the Sozo Pig. Shenda ya sozo teba singe da tenje gawon mongbo yuna tizi shendo jashe ba yunguro wa ba sheda sozo da da是写为呢就在呢sozo只没现到tenje yunguro也是个da ka ji siba gidin se ade ro wa o de yunguro也是个da.
So in the middle of page 196 it reads, "For as much as we respect the three jewels, so will living beings respect us." And then we have a quote from Samadhi Raja Sutra or the King of Concentration Sutra. I quote, "You will obtain a result similar to the kinds of karma you do," unquote. So that means right now, if we learn to respect others, right, appreciate the goodness in others, okay, then others will also reciprocate the same thing. Okay? And this is very important, especially those of us who said, okay, we are following the Mahayana path and practice. So what is important to the Mahayana path and practice is, how can we benefit others, isn't that? I mean, that's the central idea, right? How can we benefit others? So when others respect us and like us and trust us, that is to that extent we have opportunities to benefit others, right? If others kind of like ignore you, like, who the hell are you? Oh, sorry, Geshe didn't say that. Well, they'll lose the one opportunity to help somebody because this person says, who the hell, And so that's why it's very important. We learn to respect the three jewels. We learn to respect the representations of the three jewels. So in that way, others will also observe our behaviors and respect us. And to that extent, we have opportunities to benefit others.
Tumu labja troles, gunjo samji chebarda, yonde jiso cheba chebe, yangda yang di jazz rowan, ngar cheba taji, Nangba de Chibe Cheba de Tisum non Pindu Cheba de Daki, Yondela Yang Sembos, that the engine that Tumu Moiba and Johnny, Tumu at the Carrier, Gujos Cheba dance, Cheba Sita, Jedok Sanji Gujo in a church number Boje, Chu Gujo de Jabusi, Gidu Jadu Dajos at the Cheba Yorwal. Until Chiro Tamba the number of the Cheba Shena, the Cheba Cheshire or the Chor. Chebada, Yonde just a chamber, young day of the Jobson Roanis, or the Gujos of Yonde, Karsa Sanji Yonde Tag, Karsa, the Rabbi. That Sami, there's the country contact the sure that you go to Navashashi because you don't be willing to Basaya, Sanji Yonde. The show Guja did that, Panja Kayama Pang, the Pabel Lam-rim in the Tichas Ureva, you do Gujo did Yams in Gereva. So that Tidagia, so in this sun and the Cabrisia, young Shigur Sigora. Marcia the Chabertang. This will not be the Chabertang, Teda Yonde young Sebo, not be the Chabati and Yeshuat. Sanji show Tombo Boshe, show Gujo Dika Jam Musha, Ginduja Tika driven that was it.
So now we have talked about what we call the specific precepts, advices concerning our practice of refuge, taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Now next we talk about some of the common precepts or the general precepts, starting at the bottom of page 196. So he says there are 6 general precepts or advices. The number 1 is that by understanding the distinctive qualities of the three jewels, okay, then if we frequently take refuge in them, that would be a good thing. Is a common precept. So when we say distinctive characteristics, some of the things we talked about before, how do we see Buddha? Buddha is to be accepted or seen as our guru, teacher, isn't it? So by way of seeing Buddha as our guru, we go for refuge in Buddha. And how do we approach Dharma or the teaching? We see teaching as the actual antidote or the refuge. Right? By cultivating teaching, it really protects and saves us. Right? Teaching is the real antidote. Okay? And how do we see Sangha? Sanghas are the great examples before us because they are the ones who are seriously and sincerely engaging in the Dharma practice. Okay? And then there are other qualities that some of which we talked about before also. For example, in the case of Buddha, we can talk about different dimensions of Buddha's exalted wisdom. Sometimes in the Buddhist literature, we can talk about 21 aspects of Buddha's uncontaminated, exalted wisdom gone beyond. Right? Those are Buddha characteristics, distinctive qualities. Or in the case of the Dharma, Dharma represents what? It represents the true path and true cessation. Okay? So Dharma is free of all the faults and obscurations. And the Sangha are the kind of examples to be followed. So by understanding the distinctive characteristics of the three jewels and other qualities that they have, then we go for refuge in them over and again. Okay, so that is a common precept.
Be Tsone, Rana Deli Kangju Tamju Kunjo Tundi Sheba Shela, Sheba Soy, Samuel Sheba Shaws, but Diri Kanje, and Sozo Picket Digi Dota, Kazek Somber Sozo, Link Pashado Picket Digi Kazi, and Telia Kunjo took the Shell of the Tide Shungjao race. She the Tide so the Tide Guardian Sun, and so the pictures that you Pug Shoya double, or Tide Shogo race. But the Shiba so Shiba Tengris, that any Seg Sombe any. Non same Digi of Tamojiona, in Kunjo to the Shungretti, send the Shiva to the Shingmaris or Kunjo to the Southern Jump in Sangari, Kunjo to the Chilan Jones, you some cover, but this some girl is there's some job, Kunjo to the Tikadi table, and it is a pretty show.
The second general precept, which is explained more on page 197, is we should recall the great kindnesses of the three jewels and be grateful for their blessings and inspirations, and then sincerely strive to worship means engage in practice, and as a part of our practice every day when we eat and drink, like before we eat and drink, we offer the first part of our food and drink to the three jewels. Yeah, and so that is like we are grateful to them for their blessings, and we thank them, for all the things going right in our lives. And that's the right kind of attitude we should adopt. And to substantiate that point, we have a quote from King of Concentration Sutra, where it really says that all the goodness happening in our life really is basically due to the blessing of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. They are the source of our happiness, goodness, positive thinking, and everything, But we as childish sentient beings, we don't seem to think that way. Our attitude is when things go well in our life, it's just like, I did it, Mr. Tenzin, good boy. I'm just kidding. So I forgot the Buddha because I did it, right? So I thank myself for that. But that's the wrong attitude. When things go right in the way, I should remember thanks, to all the three jewels that their blessing helped me to be able to do the right thing and have all the things going well in my life. Okay.
Tell because Shiba say Sambi Shiba Shaw, tell young Shiba Shaw the Shibe Samba Yin so that they should don't and the Shuza Yu did in Shuya Shuji the country shows in Luguris or Tumble Julita. And the Shuza the good Shiba good song took that country share your one. Good Shiba and the San Yin so you good Mula Shiba was that San Yin Carson Yi. So you go well Shiba was. 다 상지 뭘 쳐고 상지 군다들이 쉬는 이거 기로와. 최대는 쳐봐네 상지기 셔디 최대소라 쳐봐왔어. 무슨 디셔바니 디니 강게 더 강게 엉볼라 무디 쳐봐라 쳐봐왔어. 데다 무슨 쳐봐세다 피지 상지 무슨 쳐봐들이와 엉볼 무슨 쳐야 다 근데 그다셔도 무슨 쳐서 가마와 어디냐 쳐봐 무슨 뭐이 비셔도 상지데 디 최대 무디 쳐봐라 상지데 최대 답지 이셔도 쳐봐왔다 근데 무슨 뭐이 비다 상지 구수도 가르쳐는 되고 다 강게 소소 그게 삼모당 쳐야지와 어디지 쳐봐 상지 양을 내지서 디치드 아니 구수다 최대 찍어서 봐 셔봐요 무슨 뭐이 비셔봐 왔어다 구수 쳐봐 드립니다.
So at the bottom of page 197, they give us a little more details about making offerings, to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There are two things, to whom we make offerings to, right? And here in the text, it's translated as the actions of offering. This to whom we make offerings to. And the first one is we can make offerings to Buddha's body, in the sense the representations of Buddha, right? Buddha's statue, or Buddha's picture, and all of that. So that's making offerings to Buddha's body representations. And another is offering to stupas, okay, or the reliquary stupas, or the stupas, that represent Buddha's, omniscient mind, okay. And then third one is offerings to a perceived object. Now, it's sort of we say it in a very complicated way. I think what it really means is if we are fortunate to see Buddha eye to eye, real Buddhas, then making offerings to them, right? Now, this is not a representation. They are real breathing Buddhas, right? So that's what we call perceived objects. And the next one is offerings to a non-perceived object, meaning that, these are Buddha representations because we don't have the fortune to see Buddha, face to face. So therefore, whatever representations of Buddha's body, speech, and mind that we encounter, so we make offerings to them. So such as when Buddha Shakyamuni passed away into parinirvana, then we have Buddha's stupa, right, as a representation of the Buddha. So we can make offerings to that.
디니 가론라 셔바나 대다 찌기 신이는 탐지 신이 디지 무슨 디 결모지 이번데 나 셔라 뒤서 이상지 탐지다 아니 쇼지 몸매베 셔된라야 셔도 냠 셔바데 무슨 디 마기르베 지 셔바데 너만 손을 채라 이번에 뒤에 자셔와다 손반에 뒤에 정신이 자셔와 송베스 상예스 디 구수소 这个学吧呢，虚拟页面吧，全部写呢，他们这里学为偏不懂啊，他可笑我的大概就上些，这个故事就学的就开始学的从家学不的，他了忙个学他了家学的，但他了别他们这里别呢，有的就别学为是这个公家呢，他了呢家学个的，现在公司。 So
another one is, we make offerings, by way of attitude. Attitude here is more in terms of our pure motivation and imagination. These are very important. They play a very important role in our practices. Let's say, if we say that, we're going to make offerings to certain representations of Buddha, they may be limited in number, right? There are few stupas here and few statues there, right? But as we make offerings to them, if we can imagine that we are making offerings to countless Buddhas, in all the 10 directions, wherever they are, it is to that extent, we are able to accumulate positive energy of merit. So therefore, a lot of the things depends on our attitude and pure motivation, isn't it? We cultivate pure motivation. We use our imaginative power to say, okay, there are innumerable Buddhas in 10 directions. I don't see them now, but here are some of their representations. So through these representations, I'm also making offerings to Buddhas everywhere. Yeah. So in that way, we can expand the scope of our making offerings.
rangi chi karsa rangi chave cheba ne lelo de nyomli pa me angi shen di chi ju ba she di minjuk par rangi la da ne cheba was tire ka cheba budi zan de ka je so gune jina ene pge karsa 다 향정적으로 기계 기술적으로 기술을 비게 요즘 부야도 기술을 막고 있어. 소소한 거 시작을 해서 와서 손을 샤요 그래서 봐. 근데 나도 저하고는 주도서 심지어 들어요 그래서 샹마도서 그전 샹매 주살이야 굳이 샤오들이 샹마 버도들이 뭐요. 어제 요즘 부야다 계정 거. 계정 좀 말봐. 조금 강대요 봐. 지나 어디다 보다 들어서 그래서.
So on page 198 it says, number 5, offerings made by yourself. So the emphasis is on, you see, we cannot have somebody else do the practice for us or make the offerings for us, do it yourself. So that becomes much more meritorious actions, And so how could it be? The Geshe gives example of in the monasteries, especially the teachers who have a lot of disciples or students, right? So they need to arrange the offerings and so they say, okay, why don't you do that, So instead of doing that, if the teachers themselves get up, use their body action to make offerings, they will accumulate much more merit rather than assigning the students and disciples to arrange the offerings. So that's why doing it yourself is the best way to make merits. And Geshe also recalls that in Tibet, and if you look at the life stories of the lines of the Dalai Lamas, sometimes there are stories where in the Dalai Lama palace, if you will, there are certain brooms and the handles are covered by the brocades. Yeah. But those are the indications. Of course, Dalai Lamas has so many people to serve. They really don't need to clean up, do anything, honestly. But here it gives us a message that at least they do it themselves. Sometimes they clean their room, whatever. So they have special broom with the brocade handles they made so that they can earn the merit for themselves. So this is very important. The message here is there is no substitute to doing it yourself.
다 현실이 지금 최근에 라는 거 충분해라. 심지어 누구가 손으로 메뉴바 대다게 최근에 대왕교련냐니 인자 대비 현 코너 아니 쇼디 주바스. 다 거배하기야. 심지어 계좌들을 봐 최근에 피부는 들어오시는 소소 맞으면 셔야되니. 심지어 비게 현다들 최근 코로나를 양 표시하게 되리. 그 럽종도 되고라. 어떻게 그래서
But the number 6 says, offerings that you help others to make, but there could be situations where, you can let others do it or you inspire others to do it. This could be like, for example, for certain good purpose of the reason, for educational purpose, you want others to learn how to make offerings. Then you can say, okay, let me watch how you make the offerings. Can you arrange the water bowls, okay? So that's okay. Or sometimes you might find people like you think, okay, maybe, you want to give them the opportunities to accumulate merit, you think they need more merit, then you can say, okay, why don't you do that? So that's okay, to help others to, earn merit. So there are 3 ways of doing it, isn't it? Either you do it yourself, make offerings, right? Or for some good reasons and purpose, you make others make offering, okay? Or another way is you can pitch in. You and others together make offerings, right? So in either way, with the right kind of attitude, the amount of merit that you accumulate is going to be just the same, Whether you do it yourself alone, or you encourage, inspire others to do it, or you join with others to make the offerings,
마와다 샤서와다 근데 뭔지 당와 당 테모자와 당 더바나도 저바다 연락에 샤샤와 당 예조스 거와데 힘을서 봐 세메시비 짐바도 노르부다 ninja da ane dubu jela sobe jendang, tana tribu watang, kashapan torwatang, sibu tiwa sanje sam ti shuden lo sheba was ta sheba pudan ta namrang de rwa nyeba de gudi shone nasa puwa she hese she rwa she ene mecha she 나요 뉴 매르와 가서 차다 내다 뉴인지 소면시 매시 다 요시 같이 가다 가리 코나 니거와 룩반다고 체만다고 수야 그게 된데도 몇도 정만데 아니 로무다다 가리 그게나 같이 가다 뒤에 보이니 ምን 차세야다 왔다 응원도 나야다 떠바시야다 어디서 간가 쉐베 간르고도와 쉐바들다 지지장 다다 가서 제기 쉐와사다 아니 young was at the
on page 198, where in the English you have numbers there. Number 7, offerings of wealth and service. In Tibetan called Nyen Kur. Okay? And so to render service, is also part of making offering here. And so, for example, if say to whom you are making offerings, if they need food, right, you prepare food. That service is a part of offering. Not only the food that you offer, but also, creating the food and presenting and offering. That's also. All that, preparing the bed or the, for the masters, or when they are in need of medications, providing them the medicines. Or that, maybe if they need relaxation or something, if they love to listen to the music, well, that is a music, offering. Or that, you prostrate to them, offering prostrations. Or that you, chant or sing praises in honor of the objects of refuge. That's also part of offering. Sometimes when we think about offering, we think there's a limited number we can do, but really not. We can offer material things. We can offer what we call sounds, right? The music and the things, which are part of the offering.
자체 쳐봐대 다들 쳐봐줘도 자체 쳐봐대 인구대다 유릉부 쳐봐대 대양 응고바 마와당 상와당 무수임이다 랑신이 쳐봐당 닝타반데 가심 뭐바 잡부 쳐라 개와대양 조비 쇼지등고 뉴노사 다티운다 자체 쳐봐야 돼 다다디 당기게 말이게 다 레징이로 표현해져라. 다디 딱바리 표현 다들어 섬색으로 하다 가지. 다스테도 상보시. 얘는 공용도 쇼시어보시. 어디에 보이는 애는 대야 배우시야. 야시야. 가진 다보서 야시로 와. 어디 치그래서.
And then there's something translated called vast offerings. The Tibetan word is gyachewa. Gyachewa means what? Vast or expensive. Number 8 at the bottom of page 198. What that really means is, to make abundant offerings, right? The previous case, maybe we offer a few things, once in a while, something like that. But here, as many as we could possibly right, offer. So in terms of quantity, it's abundance, right? In terms of quality, it is the best quality, above the level of organics, I would say, my third footnote. So super organic quality. In terms of the time duration we offer is as long as we could, right? Not like, once in a while, as long as we could. In terms of motivation, we do with pure and intense motivation. We make offerings. And then at the end of making offering, we dedicate our offering properly to become Buddha for the benefit of all beings. Altruistic dedication. So all of this, characterize what we call making vast offering. Okay.
군이 유모바 제 많이 비셔와니 계수다 방미 리리 현다시 민족의 랑게 라바다니 셔와다 그걸 셔와다 세 많이 봐 셔와다 샤소다 만제바 유무제 많이 비셔와다 상제라 대비 예보소 올라 소레 닝구 토드레니 미시바다 미레바다 튀메 무무 셔바디 투고스 어디 디즈르 가르사 니무지 마요사 가 계속 데서는 다 초중동동도 다 떼야 되려 말에 어디 계속 내려와 다 현실의 문제가 소랑 그 락다신지 라말라 세와 당세 그걸 세바스도 당 그게 Jimba Tonga Cadilla, one is the Lava Yingashi, Kujash in Rio War, but you send the car, you sort of tradition, Digo Marva, but this way. So you are Mishibata, citizens, Pigeta, Jimba Coral, Pig, Tap Joey, but Jimba Tonga, pay with the sun, Shigo Jirwa. So the Manje was, that quality, Deja Corner of the Manje machine, when it was in Jimba Samon of Sure, Resiwa. Sanjay TV, Jewel Sole, Ningu Top the Reni, Mishibata, Sera, but I got Sheva Shady, young Sanjay TV, Jewa the Rena, not Jewa so Yakoshim, Rawashi, in the Timber Sheba the Togo, Timber was in this or Takaji, no part of the day in the song was on the Togo so the rich. Marwa. This is what Timber was in the called Pento. You could never see it in Marwa.
So it starts from the bottom of page 198 and goes over 199. Offerings not contaminated with afflictions. That's the title, the caption it reads. So there are 6 of them being discussed, And what the 6 include is, for example, as we already talked about, when there are opportunities to make offerings, instead of assigning someone else to make the offering for you, do it yourself. Okay, so that's very important. The another one is when we make offerings, we do it respectfully. So if you're going to give a gift to the homeless person, right? Do it with with regard for the humanity and dignity, and not like throw it like come on, you're annoying, but here, take it. Well, we're giving something, but look at our attitude. Just take it and get lost, and not that kind of attitude, Or that when we give, we really attend to the person, out of really kindness and really, the mind to benefit this person, right? We focus on that, not like we're distracted, like okay, yeah. Take this few pennies, something. Just attend to the person, So we give what is proper. I think that's the number 6 at the end. Proper material means, give the things which are beneficial to them, not something harmful. If somebody asks for can I have a gun or something? No, you can't. Can I get some drugs or like poison or something? No. That's not really proper, right? Proper means something that is beneficial that, to the recipients. And of course, we should give it with pure heart, not out of attachment and anger, Like, oh, this kind of person I like, So, and then out of attachment to the person we give, okay? That is afflicted giving, okay? Or that out of anger, you never show at my door. What the hell? Take it and go away. Right? Out of anger, right? Giving, not that one. Okay, or not, give out of some kind of expecting something in return, right? If I give, then other people are watching me, and then there's the influential people. The example given in the book is the king. King is kind of watching me. So if he sees me to be a very generous and giving person, then next time I need a favor, he might do the favor, right? Well, there's something contaminated already in the giving, right? Not that expectation. Okay, so this is what we call offerings not contaminated by the afflictions or the delusions. Okay. No. So they give some examples of what is called the improper or inappropriate materials. So they mentioned a name called, bala, medicinal ointment. If somebody needs that, I guess massage, maybe this is not a good massage oil. It burns you or something. So that's improper. See. Or that if you give us, like you have to burn incense, there are certain material, like it says Google resin, that's kind of it disturbs your nose somehow. So that's not proper, So something like that. So what is improper are the things that's irritating, annoying, and hurting others. Don't give those things.
Teaching Shikbe, Shoba Kanya, Roman Jigdi, come the Kanyavala, Gawata, Judge Gawatang, Teba, Jachembula, Muva the Debe, Sim Chaba Shene, say, Iran Shena, Tsing Shungu, and then Tsing Shungu, say, maybe, Shoba Shembu, Sonju, so, source do this. Tell me, Tadu, Sim Nyam Devada, Sim Gawe Zomber showers, that social usually means or that Pias Kai means so Bangu of Indra. You know, any Henda push out the Sangi that Puja Tizogangal, Jusian She, Deshana, till ya any Kali Merche, in source of a sag, Cation Bush shower.
So these are the things we have focused more on what we call the Sangsingi Chimba, means material giving, right? But there are other forms of giving. We can use our, as we said, creative power of the mind and imagination to multiply the offerings and offer everything beautiful and good throughout the universe, and that's fine. Especially, if we are in a situation where we can't afford to buy anything, make offering literally, right, because I'm a homeless person, so, what can I do, kind of thing, then still don't have to feel disappointed, like I can't practice offering. Because you see other people making offerings of beautiful things, you can rejoice in their merit. By rejoicing sincerely in others' good actions, you also accumulate merit. Remember the other day, Geshe was trying to sell that idea to us. It's the easiest way, rejoicing, and it is the meritorious way to accumulate merit, And so we can do that, rejoice in others' offerings and what is available, in the world. You can offer that mentally, to the three jewels. So there are a lot of what are called legendary stories about this. Once, I think one of the Indian kings called Saltyal, I think this is one of the kings of the Kashi, kingdom in somewhere near Varanasi, my footnote, okay, this Kashi king. So, of course, many of them were great patrons of Buddhism, and, so the king invited Buddha and his followers, so he was going to make amazing offerings and all that. And they said there was another kind of a person at the gate, kind of poor person. He completely rejoiced in what this king was doing. He thought, wonderful, everything. So it is said that this other person earned equal amount of merit that king earned by spending, making all that arrangement, elaborating, making all the offerings, So that's the part of the pure mind and rejoicing,
Kunjo din the Tamzin Sungul Le Sungbatar. Dabu Mazunwe, Medot and Jibut, the Hing, the Rimbo Shell Sova Namjang, or Showers. What is Gunjo din, Dog Gunjo din says, the Tamzu Sungu say, Doin Dua.
No.
Or Tizoka, Dabu Mazun, Chita Hingna sort of any resort of today, Missing beat Dabu Minging Kajeta, Kari Medo in that Kari is a Karsa Yunjung of Kari in the sort of Lloyd Jane Pundi, the Pia Song or this or that. Or Tina so the big range of sort of Dinga Jabo. In the Nabdu Yidu one Jabo, Kaji Karishan the Yidu Kari and the double moves make it to the lowland Pundi.
Yes. So the end of the first paragraph on, which is big paragraph on page 199, it is stated, let me read it, as it says in the Cloud of Jewels Sutra and the array of the three pledges, you can also give unowned flowers, fruit, trees, jewels, and the like. So they are the sources. That means if you don't own anything, okay, we can offer anything that's available, beautiful, and everything, but not owned by anybody else in particular, right? Unowned offering means you don't have ownership over things and nobody else. So it's just our common, right, things, such as if you happen to see this beautiful scenery or like valleys and mountains and the waterfalls and the beautiful seasons like in California we can offer those things, because these are not owned by any one of us, right? This belongs to everybody. So we can mentally offer all these beautiful things to the three jewels. Or you like to hiking and you see beautiful forests and rocky mountain cliffs or canyons and whatever beautiful nature Mother Nature has given us, right? Not owned by any one person in particular. We can offer those things to the three jewels.
That is Ribecheva. Tana Panjodum de Yang, Semi Hedang, Chugidum Hedang, and the Japsum, Party just Chambatan, Samutombanila, Murkin, Medaba Nebata, Sidrimla, Domze Shevatam, Chojus, Gicho, Chonjuk, Gichodam, Pajinda, Duahil Gombatam. Zomba was, did that, Ribecheva said, Tana Panjodum, that Pajuki Shag uses the Ora, Pajuki Shag uses the Chile, so the Semi Gumnanda, and the Chambra Shigunanda, and the Pajidona, so the Kari Yams, the Tony Gumgu, give a Karsina, got said him the Karsina, the day she China Karsa, any Concho George Gaji, what the show is or that.
And on page 199, number 10 is called offerings of practice. The Tibetan term is called Dube Cheba. Duba means to practice, right? So practice is can also be offered. And so what this really includes is, if we do any practice, say we are going to cultivate the four immeasurables, but how long, you might say. So that's why he has a traditional way of measuring the time, as long as it takes to milk a cow. Okay. Does anybody know how long it takes? Okay. Because we use the machine, we don't know. It takes quite a bit of time. So until that time, here's the time clock, right, traditional. So you meditate on the four immeasurables, one of them or all of them. Okay. Or maybe you practice refuge. Or maybe you are practicing one of the 6 paramitas. Maybe you are meditating on emptiness, right? Whatever, positively, that is called offering of practice. Okay.
Oh, dear, that Chambat said, Chambat to the governor. Chambakiji governor, any Karza Tsongi gave us to do that, and to take care of us. So the Henda did Jiba Mesa check it, Kiji governor, that you didn't go on the here.
So it is even said, like, if we are going to cultivate, for example, a great love for a moment, okay, it is so powerful in generating positive energy that we will not find ourselves in the future in a very difficult situation, or will be born in certain circumstances where life is just nothing but suffering, miserable, right? You don't, So if there's so much benefit in meditating on a love for a moment, now imagine if you cultivate it, daily or for a longer period of time, how much more powerful and effective that practice can become,
Cheba Jibo Ti Gunjo Somla, the Cheba the Yons of Cheba with the Daki Chebe said the Gunjo Som Karunla and Karunla Chungu Shek Jumba the Meba June somebody took the Yondi Hinkonami Nyambata Pendo. Lana me nyambata simje tabji ni simje tabji sa choko nyambata unduore medo tar hindu kono nyambata tonzu ki tonji jidi kandu konan juma bashi go nyambata jigden la sanji jigden de mandiji punzo tabji hinu nyamdu sani sheba was that did that teacher number 2 that in the Shiva Prita Yons Zobarista, Shiva Prita that ye Karuji go to be Shiva Pia me in Jirva, Yons Zobaris. That it put you a previous that Chavado Karis, Teda said, Shibet and Gunjo Som Karunla, Chungushi, Shejans, because Shiva Pia because Sheju Kari and Chunguin and Degree. But this year, in the Kunjo so your name, Kunjo song is so your name, somebody, Kunjo Common Duhe, and the Sanji the Common Duhe, today your name take something and the Shuk Show Sana, and Lana maybe show us that they were saying that.
So those are the 10 different types of offering, and so if we practice those, so pretty much we have, put together the most comprehensive way of making offerings. Okay, so all kinds of offerings are included in those 10 different types of offering. But as we make offering, one of the things that we said earlier was we may not have much to offer, right? We have very limited offering, but our attitude plays a very important role here. The way we, approach Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So there are 6 types of attitudes being talked about here, as you say at the bottom of page 199 and over page 200. So what this basically means is even if we have a very limited thing to offer, but if we reflect on the preeminent qualities of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, then our offering could become what we call unsurpassable offering. Boy, that's a tongue twister. The best kind of offering, in other words. And so which means that, we think about how Buddha, Dharma, Sangha have this, amazing qualities and how it's very rare, for the Buddha to manifest in the world. It's as rare as what we call the Udumvara flower. Okay, don't ask me to translate into English. Even they couldn't do it. It's an Udumvara flower. A very rare kind of a flower. Okay? And so if we reflect on the Buddha qualities like that, then our offering could maybe take another dimension. It becomes the best kind of offering that we could make.
Today, because Sanjay Chiva Yode Kazis Yasha Samtona, this because any song saw she were what this you were.
So when we are making offering, right, if it reflect on the Buddha's qualities, right, that really, how should I say, adds more value to our making offering, right? Because we're thinking also about Buddha's amazing qualities.
In the Gunjo Yonde to the Hesona. In the Jamro the Shokcha, Yarava. That's why Gunjos is your say, I think just says, you know, Kurashogumara. Said the Susu Yonde to Shen, only easy, any Yashiva Siton, any Jamro be Shukshabu Shagara, said the case of Shavu.
I think understanding the qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha becomes very important, and it really is, how should I say, it will augment our practice, tremendously. It's just like, when we go for refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, if we know quite a lot about their qualities, and then that helps us to develop more trust in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha and appreciate them more and develop strong faith. So to the extent we have a strong faith and trust in them, to that extent our practice also become, very profound practice. But if we take refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, we really don't know about that. Yeah, I kind of heard there's somebody called Buddha, right? So anyway, I go for refuge. Well, it's nice, but then that is that, that kind of a refuge, right?
대단히 상사의 생활에 제모스 저들 제르무시 그런 비게 다 걸사 뇌셰버도 많이控制 상사 속에 되는 이 제인송으로 두 유만의 대다지를 봐샤라스 두상의 두신 있잖아 랑 네바다 뜸비 셰바 상부샤오 셰다 다들 형시야 강가데 딱바리 시도 말마 저 유도에 소소 강 소소 가대에 셰바네 징이 가대 강정저시는 되게서 말아. 또 두상들은 소소리야 지 가서 조구조 조바 유나 근데 강 얘기해 버렸어. 조바면 다 이해하시라고 말아.
So when on page 200 and right at the top it says Rinpoche tells us, that all these different types of offering that he explained are not his own sort of a self-creation, because he thought these are great ideas. He said, I have, source in Bodhisattva levels, Bodhisattva Bhumi. That is the source in material where, a lot of those things are talked about. And Rinpoche or Lama Tsongkapa advises us that in our everyday life, we may not be able to make all kinds of offerings, but whatever we can out of these 10 different types, and within each category, whatever we could, so do as best as we could. But on some special occasions, like in auspicious days and like that, then if we could afford, we have the resources, then we make more elaborate offerings, right? If we don't have resources, okay, then think elaborately, that's all we can do.
최바피아 대학 신의 자정 접시는 양 다공 간이요. 사동사 따바리 것이 거야지. 봐. 뒤서 봐. 유디 샤거비 뒤에 대다그 피 셔바 마샤나 소몽부 생승의 조베스. 제가 ene kale kira mo she sa gujo ya sho mi ji gujo hendu ma sa so sa jo ro she da te kale mo go she so sa yung ge she o ti yo zo ba pyu yin jie ja la long zhe be pyu ji jiang ning ta ba ni che ba che she da dire so da so zu bi ge kar sa gen tan da che tung gu yin ji ni be pyu de sa ji ka gujo she ba yin na ene ti so di ya kale me ba so ja she bo sa ta ya yung ge so mo se.
So Rinpoche really advises us, give very practical advice here on page 200 at the top that even if we couldn't make arrange offerings every day, because that takes a lot of time and energy and arranging all that. But every day we need to eat and drink. Okay. So before we eat and drink, if we offer the first part of our food and drink to the 3 jewels, that's an easy thing to do. At the same time, we accumulate a lot of merit, right? And by the way, we don't have to worry like, okay, I won't have enough thing to eat, because Buddhists don't eat our food really. And they don't need it, but it's just for our own merit we offer. And who's really enjoying it? Me, us, There you go. So therefore, that is a very practical advice, because every day we need to eat, and drink. So we offer first part of food and drink to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. But even if, let's say, we drink water, there's nothing else, we could still offer the water, right, to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Yes.
That is positive. Tiang, 2 yungwasa the lome sasa the mind. And the Kang Sangsa ni Shagola. Chay pu sunrela, Buakunji Chang, Dusawa in the Dawari Muyushi, Shara Sungri Jongwasi. Because you Piati. 소설 메네 대가리 뭐지 소설 유나 강 야가 표고레스 라와다디 다다 튀이고서 로메스서세 표게잖아 튀 runjo스고로 튀 니네 튀 야가 소소 사지 runjo도 그저 피하자고 에네 세도이나 세 로마서고레스가 사빌로디 야피 이 뭐버디 소소가 사시고로 어디 용거 말했어 그죠 근데 샤라오세데 그래서 제 튀지를 부하고 이제 Tisawandawari Muyushi, because the Yaboshi Mabuna Sosa Yagase, and the Gunjo Dogo di Puna and the Digamarism, they take the Yavago with that Tonda today.
And the great master Sharava has got this to say, somewhere in the middle of page 200. He said, when we make offering, we should offer the best, quality, best part, whatever we have, Don't eat the best part for yourself and then leave the uneatable things for Buddha, right? And that's why you talk about the moldy cheese. The Tibetan traditionally make what we call tu, buttered cheese cake, okay? But if you keep it too long, they started to smell and rot. So you eat the better part and then you cut the worst part and offer to Buddha, right? Well, now you are creating negativity here instead of earning merit. Or that, as we cook, you love vegetables, right? You eat all the fresh, organic, super organic, green leafy vegetables for yourself. There are some yellow leaves, so you think, okay, take them out, separate it, offer to Buddha. Well, you're not going to do that, but don't do that, okay? So that's what Geshe Shara was telling us. So we will stop there today, and your questions are welcome.
Geshe, I have a question about offering materials to others.
Okay.
So, for example, like those without a home or homeless people.
Right.
And many times, I'm sure we can all relate, homeless people can ask for change. Mm-hmm. And so my question is, if you have some reason to think that the person you're making a monetary offering to might use it in a way that could potentially harm them,
right,
like to buy alcohol, for example. Mm-hmm. How could one who is giving or making this offering approach that situation?
Okay. Kona kandi shue di ta tanda shen le chimpa tanga jorwa ge. Di to al chen pena ta jig de ba kar so mi chobu den de lam ga ka lang ge do ge. En la de ta khong so le ya ka sa ju thong ju ko ke yo man nyue che do 무이때 저러와게
어디
이나다 소소 삼는 다 디게들 양무 소소다 사야지 제거도 그 배주라고 당시로 와게
제
먼저 남주 창라 동인데 지금도가 가만히다뉴 내내 지그래 삼바 되는 아니 딱 간대 쳐고 되죠 무 제주요 제주요 말에 때는 다그 지와들 लग이면 와 다 디고 용거를 베스기면 오게 가서 콘스 코란절이야 뇌르고 와 콘스 창라 동 딘데 녀다 사제나 와게 때가 저거 소
아네 다데 페이지 다 그러신 페이지 자하공을 데 페이지 다스 고 쪼버도 남주유는 페이지 때는 야가 이래 와다 그 페이지 걸어도 나가라래 그러와 다 무스 도구서도 지구서도 무스 노야 디테 쇼고 말와 다그 페이지 따라서 꼭 유도래 다그 가지고 갖고 공간도 랍도 말와 디테 견해야 이제
Geshe says it's really difficult to say, but at the same time, if you really see somebody really very, how to say, poor, need food or something. So from your perspective, I think it's good to give few, bucks, so that this person can eat. Now, if this person goes and does something else, right, that we don't know for sure, but he thinks it's better to give something, but they're really desperate, they really are very hungry, looks very hungry and, desperate, so it's better to give. Money. Yeah. But here in the text, Buddhist textbook, when we say don't give the improper things, means like literally not to give like a poison to someone, or like a drugs to someone, or even like here is a knife. If you think life is miserable, kill yourself. No, not that one. Or here is 22 caliber, just shoot yourself right here. No, that kind of thing we're talking about. Anybody else? No? Well, that's okay. Okay. You always have a question, I know. Come on.
It's just a very small, minor question, but what if, like, there's been moments when I've had food and I forgot to give an offering.
Right.
It's like I take a bite of it.
Right.
And I'm
Then
like,
what do I
oops,
do? Right.
it's like, can I
Well,
still?
that happened to me too, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I still offer it?
Right. I just say, oops,
Can I still
sorry,
make
Buddha. My need came before yours or something. No. Okay. Yeah, what do we do, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay?
그랑 디스고래. 다다긴 간저게 지사지동기 초보피사에 저와 피당보다 지사지동기 피피저와 잠잠 소소 진행을 사쇼도 하게. 저때 가르쳐 오래서 디디바를 저러 가지고.
알레 대 탐도 제어 이거 된 예와 이제 말에.
그래서
다 소소 케이스 좀 셴. 이제 제서는 드롭터야 말아. 예요 말.
Geshe says, it's okay. Sometimes we forget, maybe we're too hungry, we eat it. He said, there's no fault with that, That's exception case. But if you purposely, you sort of, you don't offer to Buddha, you want to eat first or something, then that's the problem. But if you forget it honestly, it's excusable, right? Yes. Okay, we will stop there today, and I have a few announcements to make, and then we have the Yamantaka commitment, teaching this afternoon. Okay, I have to say that commitment teaching, so that other people don't necessarily have to come. Have a good Sunday. What do I have? Oh, announcements too. Tomorrow, according to Tibetan lunar calendar, is an auspicious day, talking about auspiciousness. It is the Buddha's first turning of the wheel of Dharma. Okay? So we will have talk offering at 7:30. And we make it open. If anybody would like to come, you can bring some fruits, things like that, and then we bless them offer. So talk offering tomorrow, instead of, I believe you usually have a meditation or something, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So we won't have meditation. Well, talk offering is a meditation if you want to meditate. That one. And then the next Sunday, there will not be teaching, both morning and afternoon, because Geshe has eye surgery tomorrow, and then he need to rest his eyes for a week. So probably he couldn't come to talk tomorrow either, but anyway. So we will do talk offering regardless of him. Our practice doesn't depend on him, on us. My last footnote today. So we got to do that. So we have prayer request for the victims of this tragedy in Colorado that we all know of. Right? So many people got killed, so many people wounded. So we want to say our prayers for them. And also Dr. Haifem's brother-in-law, Jerry Tompkins, it's not a tragedy. Okay, he lived a very successful life, and so he kicked the bucket. So we want to say a prayer for him as well. Okay. Again, the 통매 좀 주셔야죠, again. 단 가장 예적인 콜로라도로 양부구지 게 되면다 jamen mi mo shi sai sha do mi ni shi se mi ge ju shi me sha gen da dige de yang 통매 좀 나로나스 da dene dan da gen doctor hai gi dire acha gi chogor ba gen jerry sing jore da kona da log ge ne da ki bu je thong ge de li gen 통매 좀 나로나스 so manis ten sang ni ro年节我老年都是渐渐罗老人现在身上上着我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边我忙的边边
One day, you the years on Georgia, draw Jamale. The years are long over, the Banya Medon Joseph, the Jordan Mavin, the Van Karaya, Jedon over, then the Janin Burashibi, Junava Jenam Dazutins of the letter of Namja Chujian Dojebe, Bonde, Lami Shalos over the Chada Jebe, Gera, letter, the Yanda, Ninjo Lajebe, Lasan Jede, Bebe, Peter, Nima, Yeron, Jede, Jekumeze, Toa de Gola, Jede, Beza, Kunde, Jebe, Yundra, Sunabe. Yeah, 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 me sara jage kuja dasara jeze deje bo tibe ramja java se je tende deze deje jozon bomje dome je lazon temje deje le dava je tembe janza joja denze ve dare bo je bo so wa de jogo yode kuzo Lavoro Shiva Navi Zunzene Ramjan Javi Duso Dendro Da Korte Jivi Duju Dorava Je Ujan Duje Kewa Jindove Denje Dunjo Nende Sam Tane Jaya Deme Jinzu Je Yondro Deme Dome Nyuja Je Kewa Mamba Nazo Shishi De Chuzo Lekpara Jiva Yaje Ke Javi Sonso Mbemdra Chode Nyujan Jo Lopara Dove Mange Riva Bo Tsosa Rive Namja Danda Ye Dode Jive Chaba Chuke Den Chonge Chuche Javo Nyujan Jo Lasa Yere Dove Leche Le Zenda Nye Riva Ye Kinge Ye Wan Chabe Vede Ba Ngare Kewa Nyimba Nyujan Jo Yonda Takuma Choba Kongla Ye Keze Somba Namdara Lasan Jaden Seje Bemonzo Libra Jebe Jebo Nyuja Jo Choso Lawa Mebe Jinde Da Chunye Menjura Denjong Som Aja la sa da be den ba ye ma be ren de de la nyu ro jo.
English, yeah.
O peerless Savior and Supreme Teacher, Shuddhadana's son, O the 17 masters and adepts, Nagarjuna and Asanga and so on, O Dipamkara as well as Sovereign Father Tsongkapa, gloriously appear here today to grant auspiciousness. On the great path leading to the heart of enlightenment, you've traversed by means of the perfect threefold discipline and have enhanced ever higher in realizations of the enlightened qualities. O glorious Guru, we offer our supplications at your feet. Pray return gloriously to propagate the teaching of Lobsang by tying well the sash of monastic disciplinary precepts and generating the altruistic intention to free all beings. Engage in the tantric yogas of the 2 stages. Think of the unbearable pain of the sentient beings who were enveloped in the forces of the 5 degenerations, and to open wide the lotus grove of the Buddha's teachings. May your reincarnation appear soon as a source of merit for us. O infinite Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, you are the embodiment of uncontaminated and immutable great bliss. Kindly pour on us now your blessings, rains of nectar from the great clouds of your pervasive, pure, and bright wisdom and compassion, to eliminate our distress. We pray to you, an incomparable great hero, who has perfectly realized within his mind the threefold ethics, a pure essence of the extensive system of Tathagata's teaching, he who has raised a parcel of Dharma in hundreds of directions. Your body is the sun of all wonderful qualities, but all of a sudden it's set in a solitary peace. You have committed before infinite Buddhas to work for Dharma and sentient beings. You could not have given up your commitment. However, your presence depends on the fortunes of disciples, for the power of dependent arising is inconceivable. Please reincarnate soon as a new light of Dharma, out of your compassion that never abandons us. Please return soon as a supreme spiritual guide, a treasure house of the immense teaching of Buddha, a voice that eloquently elucidates the teaching that suits individuals' dispositions and capacities. Please return soon as a great Dharma king, who will be known in all directions for smashing into pieces a mountain of misguided teachings and views, through the power of your thunderbolt lightning of the 3 reasonings. Please return soon just like your previous self, an expert in the 5 major sciences of Buddhism, whose eloquent words and articulation of the teaching captivate the hearts of all the scholars and activate deep appreciation in pure, enthusiastic minds. Please return soon as a spiritual guide, endowed with complete knowledge, kindness, and dedication in regard to the perfect view, meditation, and conduct, one who facilitates the opening of the blossom lotus. That is the golden teaching of Tsongkapa. By the power of the 3 infallible jewels, by the power of dependent arising of unchanging emptiness, by the truth of our pure thoughts and devotion, may all our aspirations be spontaneously fulfilled.
Thánh Tăng Long Thọ vô trước. Nam mô Đi Pa Kara cùng Tông Cơ Pha Tôn Vương Tử Phụ. Quang Lâm đương chốn hiện tại hiện tiền ban truyền phước nhủ. Thiên thang đạo lộ trực chỉ chân tâm kiến tánh đẳng giác. Ngài đã siêu vượt do nghiêm túc giữ 3 tạng giới luật, rồi lại phát huy bay bổng tuyệt vời bồ đề hạn chứng. Tôn sư Quang Vinh tứ chúng thỉnh cầu gót sen lễ lại, xin mau trở lại Quang Huy truyền bá giáo pháp Lô Sang, bằng sự thắt chặt đai giới nghiêm minh thiền môn tự viện, rồi lại khởi tâm từ bi đại nguyện giải thoát chúng sanh, tin chuyên hàn trì vô già mật định nhị phần chứng đắc. Xin luôn thương tưởng thống khổ bất kham 3 cõi hữu tình, thường bị bao phủ trao đảo khôn nguôi mãnh lực ngũ trược, đưa tay rộng mở bát ngát vườn sen giáo lý Phật Đà. Xin mau tái sanh nhanh chóng hiện hành phước nguồn tứ chúng. Nam mô vô biên chư Phật chư Bồ Tát, các ngài thị hiện bát ngát báu thân của chân Đại Lạc bất biến trong ngần. Xin trải từ tâm ân cần phù hộ, mưa thánh thủy từ mây đại độ, đủ hệ bi tỉnh phổ rạng ngời, tận diệt thống khổ tức thời, niệm danh ngài bậc đại hùng vô sánh. đã hoàn toàn chứng pháp tánh nơi tâm, ba tạng giới luật cốt tủy uyên thâm của Đại Thừa Như Lai truyền giáo. Ngài nâng cao lộng vòng pháp bảo, trăm hướng vươn lan tỏa muôn phương, báu thân Ngài chói nhòa phẩm hạnh. Sao bỗng nhiên nhập cảnh biết chi, Ngài thường trước Phật thệ nghi, hứa luôn hoằng pháp làm vì độ sanh. Nay Ngài hẳn không đành bỏ nguyện, tùy phước đệ tử mà Ngài hiện thế. Lý nhân duyên chẳng thể nghĩ bàn, xin mau hóa sanh thành nắn đạo vàng. Từ bi mãi chẳng bỏ đàn bơ vơ, xin mau trở lại là đại đạo sư. Như kho tàng chứa kinh thư vô lượng, lời tuyên giảng soi đường pháp bảo, khế căn cơ thiện xảo độ sanh. Xin mau trở lại là đại pháp vương, lừng danh kim cổ mười phương tán đồng, phá tan núi mị pháp lòng tà kín, tam đoạn luật xét nghiến sấm vang. Xin mau trở lại như thân đời trước, đắc ngũ minh kiến thức uyên thâm, biện tài vô ngại lý giải pháp âm, học giả khẩu phục hằng tâm, thiện giả cảm nhận hồng ân nước lòng. Xin mau trở lại đà bậc đạo sư, thiên thư thông thái mẫn từ tận tâm, chánh kiến điện mạng chuyên cần, sen hễ nhụy hương lân pháp đàn, của tông khách ba ý ngọc lời vàng. Do thần lực tam bảo liên ứng, do thần lực duyên khởi tương ưng, với tánh không bất nhị bất trùng, do tâm lực chí thành cùng kính ngưỡng, xin cho sở nguyện chúng đệ tử được tức thời viên mãn.
Guru Rana Mandela Gani